All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Amy Leisner Show. We have another wonderful interview today with my friend Kaci, who is going to be talking all about setting up systems in your business. So, Kaci, I'm going to hand it right over to you. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Kaci Ackerman, and I help online service providers build systems in their business. Specifically with ClickUp, I'm a ClickUp expert, and I've helped over 1,000 business owners save 5 hours a week just in their day-to-day with their business.
Awesome. Amazing. So I know when we were kind of talking about this interview, you told me about a situation that came up where like an emergency happened in your life, and everyone can relate to that. Oh my gosh, something comes up. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably DIYing your way through life right now, especially when you're starting up, and the panic sets in when you can't remove yourself from your business. So I'm wondering if you could share that story with our audience, and let us know how systems really swooped you up and saved you.
Yeah. So this happened in 2021, and actually there were multiple events. So I'll just give a very quick rundown. But in April of 2021, I had emergency surgery and was in the hospital for 7 days. I took the month off of June for my wedding, which technically was planned, but April wasn't. And then in October, my husband was offered a job in Idaho. And so we did an out-of-state move from California to Idaho. And in the mix of all of that, I was also diagnosed with cancer, where I had 3 surgeries, and I also had 3 to 4 appointments for about 4 months that went into 2022 as well. So that was the rundown of 2021. And my business wouldn't be here literally if I didn't have systems, because I would say I probably was only present about half of that year with my business. And the reason it kept going and honestly started to thrive throughout all of that is because of the systems I had in place. I had one team member at the time, and she was able to literally jump in and take over all of my day-to-day. She was able to, read the SOP, know exactly what to do, and then go and support my clients. I didn't have to drop any of my retainer clients because she was there to kind of pick up that load. And they also, I obviously kept in communication with them so they knew what was going on. But yeah, I'm like, literally, it wouldn't be here without those systems. I would have had to just say, hey, sorry, I can't support you,
Yeah, and that's scary because it's your livelihood.
Yes, that's how I pay my bills.
Right. Yeah, I know I have a lot of freelance copywriters, and a lot of us work on retainers, and it's a little bit different, I think, in our circumstance because we're kind of creating the product that we're delivering. But still, I had an assistant when I was out on maternity leave, which was just a month for me. But just to have that person in there to support you, even to communicate what's going on with your clients, was like gave me peace of mind. You mentioned SOP, so I never want to make assumptions about any listener. I'm wondering if you could tell us what SOP means.
Yes, of course. I always forget to do that. SOP is standard operating procedure. So it is just how you do any of your tasks in your business from start to finish. I love to use the analogy of your morning routine. That's an SOP in reality. So your alarm goes off, you get up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower. The SOP though is like the granular pieces of that. So when you go to take a shower, you would put in there, turn on the water, check for the temperature, different stuff like that. So that's what an SOP is. And they are the bread and butter of my business. They make everything work.
I love that. Yeah, very important. I know I'll spout off on things like SEO or CTA, and then some people are like, huh? So I try to clarify all that.
Yes.
SOP, now we know. So could you let us know a little bit, like if someone were going to start to implement some type of system in their business, where would they start? And before that, what types of businesses are you mostly working with?
Yeah. So I mostly work with online businesses. I have done a couple like chiropractor offices, real estate, stuff like that, but mainly it is service providing businesses. So I work with a lot of like web designers, copywriters, virtual assistants, OBMs, all of those types of things. And the main thing I would say is there's even a step before you start building your systems that's important. And it's actually doing an audit of what you do in your day-to-day. So what I recommend is setting a timer for about 20 minutes, throughout your day. And when that timer goes off, just jot down all the things that you did in those 20 minutes and do that for about a week, because then you're going to really understand, like, why am I spending so much time on this task? Or like, I hate this task, I can get rid of it. And you can start to build systems from there. So the first thing you would do is highlight all those tasks that you don't like doing. And that's where I say always start, because if you were to do that little audit of yourself for a week and then highlight all those tasks that you don't like doing, you could then record a Loom video. And that's your first step of a process, is just recording that video and putting it in a holding place, or if you have your project management tool, putting it in there, because then when you hire somebody to support you, those are all of their tasks now. And you also have how you do it. So there won't be any question of like, oh, well, how do you want me to do this? And when should I do this? And when should I do it? It will all already be there in there for them. And then the next step would be figuring out what tasks you don't have to do. So even if you enjoy a task, if you don't have to do it, I say that you should get that off your plate, because then you can turn around and bring in more revenue generating tasks. You can start connecting more with clients. You have more time to bring clients on because you're not doing those admin busy work type tasks. So that's kind of getting started phase.
Yeah, I love that. I love the 20-minute timer suggestion too, because I've been told by a coach in the past to, write down what I do in a day. And that seems like too daunting. So I've put it off and I haven't done it. But I think that 20-minute increment is really reasonable, and to do it for a whole week. So you're not pressured to just get it all done, in one day. Or I can't even remember what I did yesterday. So I think you do need to track it in real time too.
Yes. Yep. So, exactly.
Yeah. I love that tip. I'm wondering I know you work in a certain platform in ClickUp. I'm wondering what kind of the benefits are to that, or if you have any other suggestions of platforms that you like maybe for different industries.
Yeah. So first, I probably should just mention what ClickUp is, because I forget to do that too. But it's a project management tool. So it is along the lines of Trello, Asana, Monday, Basecamp, Notion, any of those guys. They're kind of the same process. My most important or favorite tool, if you will, is going to be the one that you are going to use. That's the most important piece there. It's not that, so I love ClickUp and I will forever recommend it. But if you hate it and it takes so much out of you just to open the app to use it, then don't use it. Use something that actually fills your cup and says I'm excited to open my project management tool because it has exactly what I need to get done for that day. I can knock out my, to-do list in 2 hours instead of 4. So I'm going to use that. That's what I want you to use. Not ClickUp just because I'm saying to.
Yeah, I love that.
I will say, if I'm going to plug ClickUp a little bit, I would say that I love that ClickUp allows you to start to simplify your tech stack, if you will. So for me, I've been able to completely get rid of Google Suite outside of my email. So I don't use Google Docs anymore. I don't use Forms anymore. I don't use Sheets, none of that, because ClickUp has the capabilities to do that. So I like that you can kind of grow with ClickUp. You don't necessarily outgrow it. You can start really simple and then add on those pieces as you get, in a certain stage of your business.
That's amazing that you don't use Google Suite anymore.
A lot of people say that, but yeah, I don't. I don't use it at all.
Wow. So little question with that, because I live in Google Suite. So when this is totally just self-serving, but maybe
I think since your audience is copywriters, your question will probably serve them too.
That's true. So I write in Google Docs, right? And then I share that with clients. So if I'm going to move over to ClickUp, will my clients then be integrated in the platform too? If they're going to review copy?
So you can do it 2 ways, actually. You can make that doc that you're writing public, just like you would share a Google Doc, and they can come in and read it and give you feedback. The other option would be you could integrate them into your ClickUp, and they would have a certain area that you have dedicated to them to log in and see everything that they need to review. There's 2 different ways you can go about it. The reason I love it and the reason I have gotten rid of Google Suite is because for me personally, anytime I open, especially Google Drive, I get so distracted because they have your recents at the top, and it distracts me what about that? Or, oh, let me look at my profit loss statement, or So I get distracted very easily. And so the reason I love that everything's in ClickUp is because there are no distractions. Like the task is, like do this, I open it, I can either use a ClickUp doc if needed, or I just write inside, whatever I'm working on. And I think that's where I like it the most, is because it takes away that distraction. It takes away your mental energy of having to open another tab to go to the correct folder to, the drill down of all of that.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. Interesting. Good to know. And then
Yes.
I'm assuming when a client gets access to their area, it's just their area.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, correct. So no one else would have that except for you and the client.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Good to know.
Yeah.
So what are some kind of success stories that you have to share for some clients you've worked with?
Yeah. So I have success stories for one-on-one clients, and then also clients that have utilized my course and templates. People that utilize my templates and course have said that they have been able to bring on more clients. So one of them was able to cut her time in half and also bring on 2 more clients to her roster because of the templates and course that she used with ClickUp. And then some client success on the one-on-one side. There's a lot of newfound delegation, if you will, with team members. So once we're done with our day, part of the day is me kind of telling that CEO, like, you should not be doing these things. So I kind of come in and audit that a little bit as well and say, like, we need to get this stuff off your plate, but also just that saving time. So recently I worked with a podcast agency, and she is able to automatically send emails to her clients with a click of a button through ClickUp. So she clicks a button and it sends off a reminder. She also knows exactly what phase the podcast is in based off of what we built for her. And then also that delegation piece. So now she is starting to delegate more of her podcast process and some of her admin stuff off to her team members, but feels confident about it because she knows what she's handing off. It's not one of these like, can you do this for me? But they have no idea what you're talking about,
Yeah. Hand it off and then cross your fingers that they
Yes.
Mind.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned how during, you said the day, and I know what your offer is, but I'm going to let you explain, because my next question was going to be, how long does it take to, first of all, implement this new system? And then how long in general does it take for everyone to kind of get on board and get in this new flow?
Yeah. So my day is a VIP day where I set up ClickUp for my clients in one day, and they fill out a form. We meet in the morning to just clarify things, and then I get to work and I build everything out. They typically see a almost like full service result. I would say probably in about a month is where they start to really see like, wow, my time has been scaled down. I think they're still kind of like nervous to delegate, which is why that doesn't start to happen until a few weeks later. But immediate results are just like the newfound organization in their business and also mental clarity. So one of them, the next day was like, I have so much more mental energy now that I can focus on things that actually make my business money rather than tracking down emails or tracking down statuses of things or trying to, send out an email to remind my client of something. Those are those more immediate things where in about a month, that's where you actually start to see even more time though come back to you. And typically they see anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week back in their day. So, or back in their week. So, but yeah, it takes, I think, a month probably to acclimate.
Yeah, that's good to know, because you hear all these claims. I know ClickUp specifically, I think, has a claim of like get a full work day back or something
Yes.
like that. And it's hard to wrap your head around. So I like that you shared that, because that sounds reasonable to me, to give yourself a month to actually start implementing and seeing changes. So
yes.
Really good to know.
Yes. And I wholeheartedly believe in their tagline there, because I do it for my clients. I do it for myself. I've seen it happen, but it definitely doesn't happen overnight. And one thing I want to say too is with any project management tool, if you're just using the tool, that's not what's going to save you time. What's going to save you time is having your system in there, and it supports the system that you built. So it supports it and then also finds ways to automate or optimize that system. And that's important too, because the last thing I want is people to be like, well, I created an account, so now I'm just going to save a bunch of time.
Yeah.
You still have to have a process or system of some sort that you want to implement into your project management tool. And then it starts to see, I guess it doesn't, but you start to see like, oh, I can automate this instead of manually doing this anymore. Or I can take this piece out of my system now because my project management tool, does it for me or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice okay, so full transparency, I work with 2 agencies that use ClickUp as a freelancer, and they both have different ways of using it. I've also been in the early phases of them implementing it. So I've witnessed the learning curve of getting a team on board and getting them used to using it consistently. So I'm wondering if you have any tips for owners or, leaders of companies who want to get their team on board, maybe a little quicker. Because I don't know if people get it's like whenever the algorithm changes on social media, people take it personally that they have to like now do more reels or something. It's like, let's just go with the flow,
Yes.
So great if you have advice to get teams on board with these new systems.
Yes. So first thing is making them a part of the change, I think is really important. So including them in meetings, including them in like the brainstorm sessions and trying to figure out like what their thoughts are, because your team is the people actually doing the day-to-day, not you. So what you set up may on paper or may in your head sound like the greatest plan ever. But then if your team is doing it and it's clunky and frustrating, that's where they're going to be like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to do it my old way and then just check this off and show that I did it over here, So including them in the process and also including them in that testing phase. So because even they could have ideas where they're like, oh, this sounds great. And it happens all the time. Like, this sounds like the best way to build this. And then you guys start using it and you're like, wait a second, this is awful. But including them in it and then also having training around it, especially for the people that are, scared of it. ClickUp is pretty robust. And I would say that if you are not used to that, it could be overwhelming when you first log in. I know that when I first logged into ClickUp, I closed the screen because I was like, wow, this looks really cool. I'll check it out later. So like just being really transparent, and that goes like for anything that, owners do with their team and like not just saying, oh, here's the new project we're using, or here's the new, PM tool we're using, figure it out, like having them part of the process, letting them know, hey, we're changing to this. There's going to be some changes. We also want your input on, X, Y, and Z. We'd love for you to test out these pieces that we're trying to do to make sure that it's set up and support them as much as possible, because they are the people actually doing those tasks and you want them to stay with you. You don't want them frustrated and resent you for just saying like, oh, here's a new change, deal with it.
Absolutely. Those are great tips. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share about systems or anything?
The only thing I have to say is find a project management tool and use it, because when you start using it consistently, it is going to start saving you time. And when you start saving time, that's where you get to do more things. So either in your personal life or your business, you get to start living more of that freedom, maybe bring on another client, or maybe don't, and be able to volunteer more, at your kids' school or go out to lunch with friends, whatever it may be. But just find the one that you love and that you're going to use every single day. That's what I have.
I love that. Yeah. And it's a choice, right? Like we can choose to look at it as another thing to add to our to-do list to implement these systems, or as something we get to add to, get that time back. And I like that you said that it doesn't mean that you have more time to take on more clients. I feel like as entrepreneurs, we're always like, more time. Okay, that means I need to market more and sell more. And it's like, no, it's okay. If you feel good with where you are, then just chill there.
Right? Yes, exactly. It's time for what you want to do, not create a business where you're working 40 hours a week.
Exactly. Amazing. Well, how can people get in touch with you to work with you?
Yeah, so I'm super active on Instagram. So at Kaci Ackerman, I would love to connect with you guys and send me a DM, say hello. And then also if you're looking for services, my website is kaciackerman.com.
Awesome. And I will link both those in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube in the little whatever's down there thing called. I don't know the lingo yet for YouTube. I'm still new here. I don't know, is it caption?
Caption, I guess. I'm not really sure.
Well,
Ask
it'll be down
somebody
there.
to comment and tell you what it is.
Yes, there you go. Let's get engagement here. Awesome. And if anyone's listening and wants or watching and wants to connect with me, I'm on Instagram at Amy Leisner, TikTok at Amy Leisner, and then all my services for social media management, copywriting, email marketing is at A18Media.com. I have a little freebie too that I like to mention, which is the ultimate launch checklist for people launching programs. So it lists out the emails you have to write, the landing pages you have to do, the thank you pages you have to write, all the things in one list there. So
I will say, if you don't have that freebie yet, go get it, because I'm in launch mode right now and it's the best checklist ever.
thank you. Honestly, I used to do this at an agency I worked with, and every single new client that was launching, I was like, my brain hurt. I was like, we have to do what now? Like, what is it? So we just listed it all out. And there's three different like launch types in there too. There's a live event, evergreen event, and like a no event. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you, Kaci. It was great chatting with you, and thanks for everyone listening and watching. And I will talk to all of you next time.
Thank you, Amy.